Baha'i Houses of Worship are endeavours that all can contribute to. Sometimes the most humble contribution turns out to be the most important. Let me tell you a story of one such time. It was 1903, and Abdul Baha had called for the construction of a house of worship in North America. For the few Baha'is living there at the time, this was an extraordinary task. In preparation, they began holding gatherings and forming local treasuries. Abdul Baha sent letters of encouragement, expressing his wish for all to be united and supportive. Nettie Tobin had recently become a Baha'i. She was a loving, humble woman who earned a meagre living as a seamstress. After her husband's death in Detroit some years prior, she had moved to Chicago with her two small sons, brother and half-sister. Yet once there, she could barely support her children. Oftentimes she would buy groceries for the evening meal with money she had earned during the very same day. Nettie was an active and enthusiastic Baha'i, but it troubled her that she had no means to contribute to the building of the temple. Or so she thought. After praying often that God sent her something to offer as a gift, she began to feel strongly that she must obtain a stone as her contribution. Nettie began looking around and soon found a construction site nearby. She told the foreman all about the temple project and asked if he might offer her an inexpensive building stone. The foreman, enchanted with Nettie's request, showed her a small pile of limestone rocks, damaged and unfit for use, and invited her to take one. Later that day, Nettie, with the help of her neighbour, wrapped one of the stones in a piece of carpet, tied a clothesline around it, and dragged the bundle home. Now she just had to get it to the building site. Her brother Leo and Mirza Maslum, an elderly Persian friend, came to help. Together, they set out to board a horse car. The conductor was dubious, but Nettie insisted and he gave in. They placed the stone, still tied in the carpet, on the back platform. After travelling through Chicago to the north side of the city, they transferred to another car and rode to the station closest to the temple site. Still 6 blocks away, the stone would have to be carried the rest of the way. 3 blocks in, and the stone proved too heavy to carry any farther, and they began dragging it along the ground. The trip took much longer than expected. In the meantime, 2 Baha'is waiting at the site became worried and started towards the station. They soon came upon Nettie's group. At this point, Mirza Maslum, apparently inspired by photographs showing young men carrying stones from the quarry at Ashgabat for the Baha'i temple there, begged his companions to place the stone on his back. He managed to progress another half block to an old, unoccupied farmhouse, where they left the stone in the yard overnight. Very early the next morning, Nettie returned alone to the farmhouse with a homemade cart and a fire shovel. When she tried to lift the stone into her cart, she broke the cart's handle and injured her wrist. A man nearby, responding to her difficulties, helped her to replace the stone in the cart and fix the handle for her. After resuming her trek for a half block, she enlisted the aid of a newsboy who helped her reach the west corner of the land. As they dragged the cart across the 2 lots, it finally fell apart, leaving the stone sitting amidst the rubble. Her deed accomplished, Nettie said some prayers and left for home. In the months ahead, the stone became a focal point for Baha'i gatherings. Although Abdul Baha had already sent a stone marker for the temple site, it had not reached the temple grounds. Nor were reached other stones reportedly sent by Baha'is from various parts of the world. So, on the first day of May 1912, when Abdul Baha broke the ground, It was Nettie Tobin's contribution, the stone which the builders refused, that would serve as the marker dedicated by Abdu'l-Baha. After placing that special stone in the hole, the master pushed the earth around it and declared, "The temple is already built." In this way, Nettie's contribution, born of her pure heart, despite immense hardship and coming from only modest means, proved to be the very foundation on which the house of worship would be built.